And another point that I liked was how Kendrick had the dancers kind of represent the flag, but also how it at some point became divided. And even to the point where you had, the left side looking their way and the right side kind of looking their way, and Kendrick is kind of in the middle. So I thought that was really appropriate given everything that's going on. Um, so I guess there was kind of like an overall theme that of Kendrick kind of Kendrick speaking to what's going on, even though he doesn't always come out and say it every 5 minutes. Like that is one of the big things about Kendrick is like he never comes outside, people like to say. But that doesn't mean he doesn't hear what's going on. So excuse me, the divided flag could, in some folks' mind, it represents the Crips and the Bloods, the red and the blue. Um, so, overall, I thought that was very visually entertaining. Um, and one of the things, if you know anything about Kendrick Lamar, is that he always gives folks something to digest, something to chew on. It's never just kind of surface level, which I appreciate. Um, love the Gloria jacket, which, we've come to understand that Gloria refers to his pen. And one of the things that it made me think about is not that Kendrick has never been on this Super Bowl stage before, obviously, because he has. But I think in this particular case, to me, the reason why the Gloria was brought along is because it was his show, him by himself. So to me, I like the connection of Gloria being his pen, and if you remember from the Heart Part 6, the real one, um, he's been with her, since his early days, high school, maybe a little before that. I can't recall, but basically from high school to the Super Bowl, like we're here, we have arrived. Look where, um, my little lowly pen that I've been, dragging out since way, way back in the day, and look where it has gotten me. So I thought that was a really good image. Okay. So I've already mentioned that the Serena thing, which I loved. I thought that was fire. Um, but what is an additional point about that, obviously she's an ex, SZA was an ex. So there's that element to kind of foot the Drake's neck. So obviously it does have that. But what I particularly liked about the Serena portion is that if you guys can recall, they gave her grief for crit walking in celebration when she was at Wimbledon. So to me, this was kind of like her way, her time for retribution. Um, she was in her element. Kendrick represents where she's from, right? Back on the block, and it was kind of a thumbing her nose at the people who gave her all that grief. So I really appreciated that. The other connection was the X. Now, you may or probably have heard by now that the stage at some points or in the form of like a game controller, and on a game controller, like they have the X. But a point that I heard that was interesting, and I have to preface this by saying, by extending my apologies. I've watched so many breakdowns that, they all kind of start running together and you kind of can't remember who said what. But the Kendrick performing in the middle of the X had a lot of different meaning, right? And especially doing peekaboo. Was he kind of nudging old boy, in terms of Tentacion's murder? There's that um there's that innuendo going on out there. And also X1 and X2, Serena and SZA, right? So, there was kind of a nice play on that symbol. And again, I like it because Kendrick never says what it is usually. And so because I do remember hearing this myself in the interview, like one of the things is sometimes he's even amazed at what people walk away from it. Not saying that they're wrong, but he's kind of like, oh wow, that's a point. I wasn't even thinking about that way, but that's a good connection. So again, one of the things I like about it is that you can walk away. It's so multi-layered that there's something for everyone. Um, the not like us part where he said folks love to sue, that was diabolical, as was the Say Drake smile, obviously. Um, and this part where he said, try to rid the game, but you can't fake influence. When Kendrick said he's what the culture's feeling, that to me was kind of another way of saying that. Now, I don't think he necessarily was only speaking to Aubrey. I think he was, but I think it was just kind of in general. Maybe even talking to the mainstream folks. Like, you're trying to get rid of us, but we are the culture. Like, we move the culture, and it is what it is. Like it or not, this is what we do. Um, Another lyric was, it's a cultural divide. I'm gonna get it on the floor. 40 acres and a mule. It's bigger than the music. They tried to rid the game, but you can't fake influence. Aubrey, I need you to come to the front, right? And we're not even gonna hold your hand when we say it. We just gonna say it. That primarily could be you, right? You can't fake influence. So it can also speak to the, oh, this was botted or not like us wasn't popular, as it you guys make it seem. Basically, okay. And this can also be kind of what the climate is going on now, and just, in general. People have a tendency to always want you to, okay, don't listen to what I say. Don't believe what your eyes just heard. Don't rely on stuff that you know. I'm going to tell you what it is. And he's like, no, right? Like, absolutely not. You can't fake it, right? I know what I know. I see what I see. I heard what I heard. And just like, excuse me, we're going to leave it to Drake. You can't fake this, right? People can rap. Anybody can rap. You can learn to rap. You can even learn to be good at rap. But what you can't learn is how it feels to come up in the culture, and how to take those lived experiences and um, convey it to the masses so that they can actually feel what you feel and have that connection. Because, oh, yeah, I went through that too. That you can't fake. I mean, you can say the words, but you can't, it's really, really difficult, I think impossible, to effectively and accurately convey something that you never really experienced. So that's just my take on that. The Say Drake, while he's with that sinister smile, I mean, that's a mic drop moment. Um, and also, what I noticed that was different from the last Super Bowl, Kendrick seemed to kind of, Kendrick kind of went in his good Sid, Kendrick went in his Good Kid, Mad City, and To Pimp a Butterfly bag for the first Super Bowl, and he kind of leaned more into his Damn and GNX bag on this Super Bowl. So those were just some takes that I had. Let me know what you think. Do you agree? Do you disagree? I'm sure that I missed some things. Please, absolutely feel free to hit to comment below. If you would be so kind, there's a free like button that I would love for you to go ahead and hit so that I can grow. And until the next time, see you when I see you. Adios.